Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 Speed Build video. And today I am creating this Romanian apartment building. Again, I have been just enjoying this pack so much, I've been enjoying this pack so much, the builds are just coming out of me. As easy as breathing, the builds are coming out of me. And it was so much fun to build this because I haven't built an apartment building in a hot second. And I was like, okay, I need to create one, but I want to make this obviously in light of the whole Romanian-inspired worlds that we got in the new pack. I need to try and make it a little bit more Eurocentric and have that really utilize all the different items in the game. So originally what I wanted to do, because what I've really come to realize ever since basically starting to create stuff for this pack is that I have no clue on Romanian architecture, and it's a little bit difficult to find more info about it. I'm going to continue my research. I'm going to try and see if I can find any real estate websites, because at the moment what I normally like to do when I'm exploring architecture is my initial go-to website / app is Pinterest. I'll always go into Pinterest first to try and see if I can find anything to do with either the culture, the country, or the region that I'm trying to do. But this time around, Pinterest showed me a specific type of Romanian house that I will try and build for my next video. This one is more like village style, farm style, that kind of thing. And I was like, no, I want to make something a little bit more urban. So I tried to research on Google, and I was still finding a lot of difficulty within that. And I was just like, okay, so what can I use now? So I went onto YouTube and I tried to find any tour videos I could find of people touring the places. And I saw blocks. So they had block apartments, and I was like, okay, this is okay. This is good. But I want to utilize a bit more of the items that we got in the pack. And if I make a block apartment, I would be mainly utilizing base game stuff. And I do utilize a lot of base game stuff in this, but again, this video is only 3 things. It's base game, it's life and death pack, and it's the for rent pack, because since it's an apartment building, I was like, I'll give myself a bit of leniency, and I'll also use the for rent pack because that's what you need to make the apartment functional anyway. So I only use those 3 packs for this entire build. And I was like, I won't be using a lot of the life and death pack if I do try and make it this modern, very brutalist looking block apartments. So I was like, I'm going to try and I'm going to try and make it a mesh of the kind of traditional Romanian architecture, the grandiose of it, and then I'm going to mesh it with the block apartment nature of it. So then I was like, you know what, the best place I can go into TikTok. So I went onto TikTok and I typed in Romanian house tour, Romanian apartment tour, stuff like that. And I was like, why didn't I go on TikTok first? Because there's a lot of problems with social media. Even I love YouTube, don't get me wrong, I love YouTube. It's my main platform. Beyond anything else, I will post on YouTube first. But the problem I'll say is that on YouTube sometimes it's difficult to really see the smaller creators when you search stuff up. It's normally just the larger creators, and that's what also happens on TikTok. But on YouTube, it's even more difficult because it's just it ends up recommending you stuff that you normally watch. So if I type in Romanian house tour, it show me maybe 10 videos of someone we're doing a tour of the Romanian house, and then it will start to show me stuff related to what I've been researching recently. For example, I've been watching a lot of documentaries on the making of Romania and stuff like that, and it's that's not what I'm searching for though. That's what I've been watching, and now you're starting to suggest it onto me. But on TikTok, if you scroll on a video for too long, it's going to end up showing you random stuff. But if you click video by video by video, you're going to be able to see different types of creators. So when I was on TikTok, I saw this one person basically showcasing the grandmother's apartment in Romania. I think she was American, and she was back in Romania to visit her grandmother. So that was the first really in-depth video I got on Romanian architecture and interior design. That was quite significant compared to the others. And then that's what inspired me because originally what I wanted to do, and you're going to see it in the video when I do start doing the kitchen, I do use the life and death counters, but then I do change them into the base game counters, just because originally what I wanted to do, what I've noticed, and I know this is not the norm in Romania, this is not the norm at all, but kind of many times to say Romania in this video. This is not the norm in Romania, but what I've noticed is that the outside could be let go a little bit. Like there's not that much maintenance on the outside of the apartment, but the interior of the apartment would be the most swankiest, coolest looking apartment like you've ever seen in your life. Showcased by the top video I saw on TikTok when I typed in Romanian apartment tour. It showed the outside that wasn't necessarily taking care of the best, but then once they actually entered the room they were staying in, it was like it was so beautiful. It's perfect. So that's what I was just trying to emulate. I was trying to emulate that a lot of architecture that I've seen, specifically in like these kind of like flats, these kind of apartment buildings. So the outside is not the nicest, but I promise you if you enter inside, it's really, really nice. Or there's the mix of the outside is like slightly okay. It's not run down. I wouldn't say any of these apartments are run down. I'll just say that they're just typically not renovated as often. They're not like the ultra luxury condos and apartments that you might see like in London or you might see like in San Francisco. They're like just the average place to live in. Like it's very kind of reminiscent of where I grew in. If you didn't know, I grew up in a flat in the UK, and the outside of the flat would be very intimidating if you were entering it because they didn't do that much maintenance on it, because it wouldn't work. Weather, people, anything like that, it will just wither away. And with the amount of money that we would pay towards living in the flat, would not allow that any of the maintenance people to keep up with the outside maintenance. Like they will maintain the interior. So if we call them and said, hey, our kitchen is messed up or something like that, they'll come in for the kitchen and stuff, but they wouldn't really come in for the outside of the apartment slash flat. And that's how I imagine that these Romanian flats are like if they're landlords and stuff, they'll come in and fix stuff on the inside, but the outside, there's really no amenities. Like there's not a reception area or a gym or a laundry area sometimes. So it's just like, what is there to upkeep? As long as the stairs are functioning, the lifts are functioning, everything is all good. And speaking of the lifts, I found it so utterly cool and amazing that the lifts in Romania have like an outside door that you open before you actually enter the lift itself. I thought that was really, really cool, because the lift I utilized when I lived in a flat, they closed and opened on themselves, and there were the tragic cases that happened twice in my duration of living there where the doors did not open automatically, and I feared for my life because I thought, oh my god, this is the way I die. This is the way I die. This is the a rope that somehow keeps this lift up. It's gonna break under my amazing weight as an 8-year-old, which was barely like 50 kg. It's gonna break under that, and I feared for my life. So I just think that's a really cool aspect of Romanian architecture, and there's something I would have liked to implement, but since I can't have multiple lifts, and I just knew it was going to be a lot more effort to try and like force it to have multiple lifts, I was just like, no, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it as it is. So yeah, so that's how I ended up having this idea. And because of that one woman on TikTok saying she was doing a tour of her grandmother's house, I thought I'll make this like a grandmother's apartment. So I imagine that the person who lives here, which I think the first name is Athena. I think it's Athena Lunsford. She is the mother of, which I found out the name of the ginger/redhead sim in my previous build, of which I'm going to do a let's play of. Her name is not Christy, it is Bridget. Yeah, so she is the mother of Bridget, and she is also the mother of Bobby, who lives with her at this flat, but Bridget, obviously, she's moved away and is now living with Austin. And I just basically, I was like, I'm going to start doing like the background characters, houses and stuff. So I thought I was going to do her mother now. So that's how I ended up doing this flat/apartment. I loved the wallpapers that we had in the Life and Death pack, because I feel like this really feels like your grandmother's apartment, like your nan's apartment. Like my grandmother's back home in Zimbabwe, they don't live in a flat. They live in like a house on the ground or all bungalows, but the wood is the same mahogany. And I think that was just a popular thing in the 70s or something. That's why, like, even in that, her grandmother's, in the TikTok videos, apartment was mahogany. I think that's just a popular thing in the 70s, the same way that there's a lot of just like mahogany styled materials within this, flat itself, just because I feel like a lot of our grandparents, and maybe if we have older parents, there was like a huge craze within the 70s and the 80s where like mahogany was everything. I mean, like we talk about mid-century revival, but like this was like mid-century. And I feel like I really was just trying to implement that in every aspect. So I tried to do that with the flooring. I tried to do that with the bookshelves. I tried to do that with the beds. And I feel like the beds really did it. But yeah, that's just what I was trying to do. I was really trying to like emulate that. This is their grandmother's house. This is their grandmother's flat. They have lived here for well over 40 years. Is wear and turn, and it has the scruffs, it's got the marks, it's got everything of a well-lived-in house. But that's really what I was just trying to emulate within this thing. And what I would have added, if I could have, but I was trying to stick to 3 packs, I would have added washing on one of the balconies. But both sets, it's either from laundry stuff or it's either from island living in the debug area, so I wasn't able to do that. But if you do have other packs, you can do that to add to the realism aspect of it. But I feel like this looks quite realistic, if I do say so myself. Yeah, so what I also saw in the video, I was basically just kind of copying a video. What I also saw in the video is that very similar to a lot of flats in the UK, there was an exposed water boiler. Now, we don't necessarily have a water boiler in The Sims, but we do have a water-like system that came with ForRent. So that's what I put in a clove, because I also noticed on her TikTok video that they have like a cloves where they either keep stuff for the pantry or just like other like collectible things, and they normally close them with like a curtain or something like that. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. In the kitchen, I can't put an actual water boiler there because it will be inaccessible. I'll put it in this little clove and then I'll put a curtain to cover it. And it really did come out how I needed it to come out. I also kind of did the kitchen in this gallows kind of kitchen area, but realistically the counters are on one side and there's like a mini sitting area on the other side, because I imagine she is quite elderly, so as she cooks she would like to sit down a bit. But that's not where you have your meals. Where you have your meals in the living room. And the living room, that's why there is another dining set in the living room, because that's what I saw a lot of within the TikTok video. And as you can see over here, as I'm adding light switches, you saw that I added a bunch of boxes and stuff into the corner of the hallway, because that is just something that it reminded me so much of my dad's mom, my grandmother's side. On that side, they have a lot of stuff from all the years that they've grown up there, because that's where my dad and his brothers and his sister have grown up, and that's where the grandchildren have come along and stuff like that. So my grandmother collects a lot of things, and I was like, that is just such a grandmother thing to have, like all the reminiscent, all the memories and stuff like that come in presents and boxes, and then even just some stuff to do with like fruit and veg, like almost like a mini pantry area like that. Also, that area would also be closed off with a curtain as well, but I wasn't able to do that because it's a 3-tiled area and the curtain would like clip into slightly the archway. But beyond that, like I was just like, this just it's so grandmothery. And now I'm doing this bedroom. Now, in traditional flat culture, it's normally 2 bedrooms. You don't really see that many flats with more than 2 bedrooms. But then in traditional grandmother culture, where it's like either for me, Zimbabwean African or European Romanian, is that in those 2 bedrooms, you will have multiple siblings. So don't you worry about that. Not everyone got to have their own room. I didn't grow up in this just because I had my own room. But with my dad, I know that he shared a room growing up in like the 70s and the 80s. It was like 4 of his brothers in one room. And then it was his one sister in a room by herself in the other room. So I imagine that's basically how this kind of system functioned within the siblings, that growing up they did share a bedroom. So this bedroom that I was doing, but now apparently I'm already doing the master room, it was the room that they shared in. And then to end it all off and to really encapsulate the entire build, I got to put one of my favorite chairs from ForRent that just that is that chair. That is the most realistic chair you see in the entirety of The Sims. It's not trendy. It's not anything. It is a basic plastic deck chair. And this is where the grandmother sits and probably enjoys a little beer whilst watching the sunset, because the sun sets on her balcony. And I was just like, that is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and now I'm just doing the bathroom, and I'm going to be ending up doing some of the letterboxes and stuff like that. But that's basically the build. I really hope you guys like that. And don't forget to comment down below any more suggestions you have on builds I can do in life and death. I know I've had a suggestion on a 1-bedroom starter home, so I'm going to be on that. Don't you worry. And yeah, if you like this, don't forget to watch my previous video where I did do a funeral home and apartment. And then I also have another video where I've done a contemporary Gothic home, but that was before the life and death pack. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But if you don't want to, that's also okay. I appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my ramblings. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, the more the merrier. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.